On February 7, 2013, California senators banded together to propose a raft of new gun control laws. Be aware, they are coming for your guns.
2,800 lives. 2,800 men, women, and children. Those were the lives lost in California in 2011. Death by murder, death by suicide, and by accidents, all involving guns.
Nationally, about 56% of all firearm deaths are suicides, and those are used with legal guns that do not require high-capacity magazines. So we have to trim his numbers back a little bit. This results in about 1,200 California firearm deaths that might be controllable through legislation.
In that year, our state had the same number of fatal traffic accidents. We register our cars, our trucks, our motorcycles. We require drivers to be licensed to show that they know the rules of the road, that they know how to drive safely. Isn't it just common sense to take a similar approach when it comes to gun violence and gun ownership?
If you take the remaining 1,200 California gun homicides and divide by the probable number of California gun-owning households, what you see is that they're proposing controls over 99.98% of law-abiding gun-owning households to control the 0.02% of the gun misusers.
The gun industry, frankly, has a love-hate relationship with California. They hate our existing gun laws, which are already among the toughest in the country.
So, if California has some of the toughest gun laws in the nation, why do they rank 21 in homicides in the country, slightly above the national average? You would think it would be much lower.
In 2011, there were some 600,000 legal gun sales in this state.
Using his numbers for the number of gun homicides in California and the number of new gun sales in the state, worst case scenario, 0.2% of these new guns result in a gun homicide. But we all know that guns have a long shelf life. Many old guns are used in homicides instead.
The truth of the matter is that we can save many lives by curbing the proliferation of rapid-fire weapons.
According to studies posted by our own federal government, street thugs, the ones who commit most of the homicides, prefer handguns. They prefer .38 revolvers and standard-issue 9mm pistols, which are no more rapid-fire than what you keep in your nightstand.
We are going to seek to ban the manufacture of rifles that have detached magazines, period.
And there is the first prohibition. They plan on banning the manufacture of any rifle that has a detachable magazine. Now, California cannot ban manufacturing nationwide, but what starts in California gets exported. We now know part of the national game plan.
When you look at Sandy Hook and Aurora, these were legally purchased guns.
The senator cites public shootings by known lunatics. If the disease is mental illness, that's not a disease that affects those 99.98% of people that this legislation affects. If he wants to cure the disease, he should pay attention to the disease, not the symptom.
And get the 19,000 households that are holding 40,000 prohibited guns, and let's hire the law enforcement officials at both the state and local level, and let's get those guns out of the hands of people who should not have them.
If the government has known for so long which criminal households have guns, why has this not been a priority in the past? Should this not have been the de facto law enforcement priority? Has the state's inactivity in taking guns away from known criminals actually contributed to gun deaths in California? Is he admitting that the legislature has failed in its most basic mission of crime control?
Make criminals out of currently law-abiding citizens, for instance, removing the grandfathering clause on the clips and that kind of thing. Can you address that?
Why don't you, Lonnie, why don't you go ahead and address this?
There will be a period of time for them to be turned in and disposed of. We're not proposing to make criminals out of everyone or anyone. we are proposing to make clear that if the sale, manufacture, transportation, use is illegal, possession should be too.
And there's the second prohibition and the first confiscation. Rewind that if you have to, but she is saying quite clearly, your extra capacity magazines, once they're made illegal, will have to be turned in and destroyed.
The United States has 15 times the gun violence rate of other wealthy countries.
If you include suicides in your gun violence list. But the Dutch Ministry of Justice, in a multinational study that they did, determined that the United States ranked number 13 out of 17 top industrialized countries for violence, well below Australia, well below England, well below Finland, well below France, well below all these other wealthy countries.